So I went to go see Moana live action, air quotes, 2026 that just came out here. My out of the theater thoughts. There was one scene in particular that helped me fully encapsulate my thoughts on this because this could be a 20-minute discussion, but here, really quickly. It was in the Tamatoa scene, the crab. The crab gets on screen, and it was in this exact moment that I realized that they're using the exact actors, the exact voice actors, the exact shots, and then here's the thing, the exact jokes. When Moana was looking at Tamatoa and he goes, "Baby girl, I'm gonna, steal your, pick an eye, pick an eye. I can't focus on you." And then I don't even, without my will, my brain just said, "Yeah, we don't need to waste time." And so my brain put me to sleep. And I woke up when she goes, "I am Moana." I was like, oh yeah. And I've not really fallen asleep. I'm not a movie sleeper person. But my brain had connected that, hey, they're doing the exact same thing, but less immersively. Why are they doing that? They are capable of this amazingness, clearly, because they made the animated movie less than 10 years ago. It's been less than 10 years of an animated classic, again, air quotes. Not classic because Moana's not great. I love Moana. It's one of my favorite movies. In fact, I love my experience of seeing Moana. I'm sure you remember yours too. Mine was in the theaters. I was like, wow, all this water is so vibrant and lifelike. That animation, what the animators had to do to make it have its own, it was interacting with baby Moana. Amazing things. And then in this movie, it's not as brilliant, it's not as vibrant, so why do it? And here's a summary of what has been going on with Disney live action. I was trying to go to sleep, but I couldn't go to sleep because I just wanted someone to talk about it. So you're that someone. Thank you so much for being here. Because this is, a lot of people are sort of giving it slack and saying, oh, there are good moments in it. Sure, no one's upset about good moments. Yes, there are some really good moments in it. But overall, the feeling of some of these Disney live action movies has been that you have the source material, which is available and already out and doing so well. And we just made a Moana sequel. Potentially we'll have a Moana 3 based on how that movie ended. And you can watch my review of that because I really ripped into that movie. But we have this movie that already exists and you have the source material, but it's just like if you have a Broadway show and you then go see a children's performance of said Broadway show. If you're going to go watch Beetlejuice the musical or Mary Poppins the musical, but it's performed by kids between the ages of 5 and 18, you go and you know what the source material is able to deliver, but there's charm because they're children. So all the inconsistencies or errors or even hiccups or even just not delivery of the emotional quotient that's required for the climax of the story, fine, they're children. That's okay. You have the source material. But when you have Moana animated and then you go watch an updated version from the same company and you're like, you guys are able to do this. Why are we spending so much time and effort doing this and not advancing the plot with Moana 3? The main actress is doing so much heavy lifting. I wonder why they put her in a wig. And the lighting, I don't know. I've watched so many videos about how they make movies because I'm just passionate about this industry and I love it so much. And I'm a performer myself on stage and on screen, so I care about how these things happen. And I've watched that there's this new technology they use, the volume, which is just screens, 360 television screens that they could project behind actors. And they use it a lot for The Mandalorian. It was this huge news break. But I don't think that it works all the time. I know that they shot on location in Hawaii for a lot of these scenes, but I can't tell you which shots are real and which shots are not. And you're gonna be like, well, that's how good the CGI is. No, everything felt lifeless. If you told me everything was filmed in the volume with just projections behind them, I would believe you. And the most interesting things that were happening were CGI. So why is it live action? They had a list of stunt doubles and people who were doing stunts, and I'm like, so many people were involved in this movie, but it's desaturated. The line that Dwayne Johnson delivers, again, he does Maui in the original, so it's kind of bizarre that here when he says, what I believe you were trying to say is and you know he's going to say is thank you because of the animated version, but he goes, you appreciate me. Ah, we subverted the script. And then she says, appreciate you. Why would I be grateful? And at some point, Moana gives the trigger line and she says, thank you. And he goes, you're welcome. The lighting was behind him and his eyes didn't have that catch light. Like, see how you're looking in my eye right now? You can see my light source in front of me. That's my pupil. That's my pupil that's reflecting the light. The retina in my eyeball is reflecting the light, so you know that I'm what? Alive. Not a single catch light on poor Dwayne Johnson's face. The lighting really lost, and so you're like, he's supposed to be like, you're welcome. It's charming, but it felt unsettling. It's like, ooh. No. But then they did the whole song number, and to be fair, they actually did heighten it visually, so that one I did appreciate. But I wonder why we are not taking care of these actors, of these characters, because even the actress, Catherine, who plays Moana, she's really giving it her all. She's not trying to phone it in. She is Moana, and she's giving it her all. Fantastic. They also, I mean, they got a lot of butts in the seat because they said Auli'i has a duet with her. Y'all, it's in the credits. It's over the credits. It ain't in the movie. Unless it happened between Tamatoa and I Am Moana, but I don't think so, because I think my brain would have registered and been like, wake up, wake up, wake up, and there's a new song. It's possible, though, I'm not gonna lie. So, the movie is not doing its actors a service, because when Catherine is singing How Far I'll Go, you have the same... Oh, before I say How Far I'll Go, remind me I have to get back to that. The big thing about this movie is Moana's gonna become chief, and she has to what? Add her stone to the top of the mountain. Fantastic. And she ends up adding what? The seashell. Beautiful, moving, and she's trying the whole movie to pick out which stone. Okay? Because this stone says pride. This stone says commander. This stone says agency. And I'm like, those, what? Okay, they don't even look different. Fine. But what was cool, what was so quizzical, I need someone in the set design to make sense of it, is the point of that scene is that that is the highest part of the island. And then the chiefs all stacked rocks on top of one another to then elevate their people to the highest they've become. Symbolic metaphor. In this movie, this is the place where they're standing, where the rocks are, and then it's like in a valley. They're not really in a valley, but there are edges of the mountain above the point. And so it slopes outward. So even though they have their rocks, there's a higher part 2 feet over. And I'm like, you all don't even understand what the source material is trying to say. And I think it's the same director, I don't know, or the same screenplay, I have no idea. You would hope that the movie's right there. Even if you just shaved the mountaintop. Like, why is the mountain taller than the rocks? Then she's not elevating the people. And then at one point, he says, just like my father and his mother. And I was like, okay, cool. We added in the mother line. Maybe that's in the movie. I don't remember, but I think it's new. But then he says, my father who is the chief and his father and his mother. In the next scene, something happens, and then the chief says, when my mother was chief. And I'm like, I thought you just said your mom... What you said your dad was the chief, not your mom. And then you know in that burst out scene that the dad has when Moana comes in and says, we were voyagers, and it's during like a local village meeting, and then the dad like bursts out at her in front of everyone, and it's embarrassing, and it's communal ridicule, and Moana feels embarrassed by it. He feels embarrassed by Moana. Then he goes outside and he throws the heart of Tafiti because he's so upset by it. And then the grandma's dying, and it's all this emotional heightened. None of that. He comes out, she goes out and she's like, please. And he walks out with her and they just have this, Dad, I don't know. And he just looks at it, he said, what is this rock? And he just drops it. I'm like, but the mom did make me have tears. That whole scene was great. Because again, that's her emotional journey. And that actress is doing a great job. When she goes to do this with her mom, at this moment, The lighting was non-existent. They're two shadows. It's not even silhouetted. It's just, you could see Moana, you could see the grandma, and they lean into each other, and it's like no one tapped the screen on the iPhone to be like, oh no, camera, adjust to this lighting. And so they just go dark, and then they come back out. I'm like, this is the moment. Why didn't you just switch it, cut it to a different angle, and silhouette them in slow-mo? That is the moment. Grandma, I've understood my mission. I will go. Anyway, back to Go, How Far I'll Go. Catherine, I wish someone musically directed her to be like, hey, we are in a studio right now when you're singing this, but I want you to imagine that you are at the ocean and you are projecting above the roar of the waves. Because what we got was, and this movie's about 10 minutes longer than I think the original, and it's probably because the music all runs at a slower BPM. Instead of, I've been staring at the edge of the water. No, it's, I've been staring at the edge of the water. And you're like, oh my heavens. Like, who musically directed this? And it's as if they made it staccato. I've been staring at the edge of the water. And I'm like, she sounds like she can sing. Why are we doing it that way? But it also sounds like she's singing into a microphone, which she is. But at least with Auli'i, she was like, there's a difference. Listen to this. There's a difference between I've been staring at the edge of the water long as I can remember. There's a difference between that and I've been staring at the edge of the water long as I can remember. You're speaking out into the world, and there just happens to be a microphone in front of you, but you are telling a story. And you sing with pride, and you speak with voice, and you project out, and you have full voice, and la la la, and nothing like that. Everyone was just staccato, breathy, and minimal in their songs. And then when Tamatoa said, and I'm done with this drive, my brain said, and that's enough for us today, and you're gonna have a 20-minute nap. And I was like, this is against my will. I paid for this seat. So, yeah. I'm not sure who's going to watch this as their first version of Moana, but if you ever have the opportunity to watch this as your first version of Moana, I would love to hear what you think about it when you then come back and watch Moana the animated, the original. Because my out of the theater thought was, why are they making these? And it makes me really nervous for Tangled, y'all. I hope, between you and me, I mean, what's your favorite Disney live action, but also Disney property? Tangled, from start to finish, is probably, I don't know, I have so many, probably one of the most perfect movies ever made. And it makes me so nervous because what do you mean they're gonna have to live action hundreds of feet of hair? Glowing, magical, keratin hair? I mean, there's just one shot, and this is how I'm going to end it. The Moana video is going to end on Rapunzel. There's one shot in Tangled that is just truly breathless. It's when she's looking out at the water thinking that Flynn betrayed her because they tied him to the boat, and she's looking at him with the light, and she has no light. That's what's so beautiful about it. She's looking out at him, and it's darkness, and there's only darkness on her face, but behind her, and they better get this in live action, behind her, there's just the only light source in that whole forest, and she turns around, and it's Mother Gothel standing there with the only light source. So you think, based on psychology, that that's the path to follow because that's the light source. But the animators are brilliant because everything's a choice and nothing's a mistake. They made that light green. And so as it hits Mother Gothel's face, because she's holding it low, it shrouds her in the most ominous face ever. So though it's the light source, and it sort of compels you to think about wisdom and discernment and making choices and who in life is actually looking out for your well-being and who's not. That's the kind of intentionality that animators have to take. Anyway, at the start of this movie, the trailers were the most exciting thing because I was like, ooh, Forgotten Island from DreamWorks? That looks amazing. And then there was a bunch of other, I actually took a list. It's on my phone, but wow. That's my review of Moana, live action, 2026, out of the theater, Before bed reaction is what it should be, because I couldn't go to sleep. I was like tossing and turning, thinking, no, I need to tell someone. And you're the someone. So thank you for being here. I hope that we could do more movie reactions. I'm not going to edit this. I'm just going to like splice it, put a thumbnail, maybe put a thumbnail, and put it up. I hope that you like these versions of just chatting it up, because if you do, I can make a lot more like this. It's just the editing gets in the way. All right, that's enough talking. See you later. Love you. Ciao. Bye.